Saving for retirement is a challenge at the best of times. And over the last 20 years, I've seen 6 bad habits that have really held people back from saving for retirement. And I want to share those with you today and also give you some tips and strategies to get past these hurdles, to make sure that if you've fallen into these habits, ways to get out of them and get you back on track so that you can retire one day with enough money and enjoy retirement stress-free. The first bad habit we see, and probably the worst one of all, is procrastination. Many of you procrastinated to start saving. In your 20s, your 30s, you think, I got lots of years left. I'll do that down the road. For many of you, it came putting other things before your retirement planning. It was the new car, the new house, a trip, whatever it is. But you procrastinated on the retirement planning. And as you probably know, you've seen charts like this before, starting earlier and allowing your money to compound makes a drastic difference. If you take a 25-year-old to a 35-year-old, they're both saving $200 every month and can earn on average 6% rate of return on their money. By saving at 25, by the time they're 65, they'll have about $400,000. But by waiting that 10 extra years, they're only gonna have about $200,000. So half the amount of money, only a 10-year difference. Again, starting at 35, you think, well, I still have 30 years to save to 65. That's a long time. But the difference of not saving those first 10 years cuts the amount you have at retirement in half. So make sure procrastination does not get a hold of you. Start saving. Save anything you can. Start creating those habits so that you don't procrastinate around building up an RSP and a TFSA, no matter what age you are. There's many of you I talked to in your 50s. You procrastinated all the way till now. Start saving that money, save up for retirement. Let compound interest work for you. The second habit a lot of people have fallen into is high standard of living and high living costs. Now, I get it. A lot of these high living costs are put onto us and out of our control. But many of us are choosing a high cost of living, bigger house, more expensive cars, eating out all the time. I know when I drive down my street, there's sure a lot of brand new nice cars sitting in the driveway. People are going on trips more than ever. I'm heading on a trip shortly with my family, and the cost to travel nowadays is so high. And that's why we don't do a lot of traveling. It's just too high. But a lot of you haven't cut back as costs have gone up. And your cost of living has skyrocketed to the point where you're not able to save anything for retirement. And it's going to cost you one day. Trust me, talk to those that are retired. They make sacrifices to get there. And some of those sacrifices are reducing your cost of living in areas that you're able to reduce them. So while you may not be living on a budget, it is good to review all your expenses. Where are you spending money? Where are you spending too much money? And where could you allocate some of your expenditures towards future self? Don't forget about your future self. You want to retire one day. So make sure that you make some reduction now so that you can have enough later on. The third reason or habit a lot of you have fallen into is low income. For some of you, this isn't by choice, but for a lot of you, you haven't looked at your skills, your abilities, and you haven't looked for a job where you can maybe make a little bit more money. Maybe even ask for a raise. A lot of you have not received a raise post-COVID, and it's time to ask for a raise. You deserve more money. Cost of living has gone up. Ask for a raise. Go look for a new job that's making more money. Find an ability. Maybe find a second or a third job. There's ways to make more money. Get creative. Do stuff like this. YouTube, right? There's so many ways to make money nowadays. Get your brand out there. Get your personality out there. Use your skill set. There's different means, varieties, and platforms to utilize your skill to make an income. And for a lot of you, you kind of sat back. You've never asked for a raise. You've never looked for a different job. And you're not making enough money to put food on the table now or save for retirement later on. And so for some of you, you need to take your skill set and find something that you can earn more money at. For a lot of you, it might have to be finding a second or third job to put food on the table now and also be able to save for the future. The fourth thing that's holding you back from being able to save for retirement is lack of financial literacy and just the language used around savings and strategies and all of that. And a lot of that is the failure of our school system. We're not really taught anything around compound interest and retirement savings and RSP and TFSA and all these terms and savings tools and all that in school or anywhere beyond school. And so nowadays there's a lot of free resources out there. There's stuff like YouTube channels like this There's a lot of free courses. There's great books out there that we recommend on this channel as well. So there's a lot of free tools out there. Start utilizing the free tools. Use your time on platforms like YouTube to educate yourself, learn more, talk to people. There's courses out there. Make sure you're upping your game, your financial literacy. And that's how I got on YouTube in the first place. There are many ways out there to improve your financial literacy. So make sure you make the effort to improve it so that you make better decisions. And even when you're talking to the bank, your financial planner, your investment person, the language they're using, you start to understand, which will empower you and help you make better decisions alongside the professionals that you're working with. The fifth thing that can set you back from having retirement savings is an unexpected life event. And many of us have these again and again for some of us. And it seems to set us back. As soon as we kind of get a few steps forward, boom, something happens and we're back at square one. And it's really frustrating. And these are things that we typically can't control. And so do your best to anything that's within your control, work hard. And that's why some of these other habits, I want to make sure that you push past, because some of these things are habits that you create that are a detriment to you and your retirement savings. Then there's some items like this where it's an unforeseen event, costs you financially and it sets you back, things you cannot control. A lot of us are short on retirement savings for two reasons: things we can control and things we cannot control. And while both of these things do set us back, we need to make sure that we work as hard as we can for the things we can control, so that when the things we can't control come about, we have a bit more certainty and structure in our long-term plan. Now, an important thing to note is when you have a financial event happen to you, an unexpected event that's costly for you, make sure you have your plan readjusted. Whether you're in retirement or leading up to retirement, if there's a financial event in your life, sit down with your financial planner, map it out. How does this change your plan? What do you need to do differently moving forward? Do you have to work longer? Do you have to go find a second job? Do you have to change the way you're living through retirement? Life happens, but you want to make sure you adjust so that you know the impact of that financial event on your current financial situation and long-term retirement planning. The sixth and final thing I want to talk about here that affect most of you is underestimating the amount that you need for retirement. And there might be the other side of it of overestimating. But a lot of you underestimate how much you need for retirement, how much you're going to spend in retirement. You forget about inflation. I talk to a lot of people that say, Adam, I've saved enough, I can live off my dividends alone. And the reality is, you probably haven't put your numbers into software because most of the time it just doesn't map out that way. And that's why you need to make sure you take what's in your head and put it down on paper. Don't underestimate what you need to do, what you need to save, the strategies that you need to employ to make sure that you have the best retirement possible. There's so many of you short-sighting yourself in this. And so make sure you sit down with your financial planner. Put your numbers down onto paper, create some strategy behind it, and see where you fall. Are you on track for retirement? Are you underestimating what you need? Are you overestimating what you need? It's a good checkpoint to make sure that, hey, what I'm doing actually gets me to the dollar amount I want for retirement and the age I want to retire. So as you are preparing for retirement, whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, it doesn't matter what age you are. Take a step back and look at what's holding you back. What bad habits have you created that are holding you back from retiring with more money, retiring earlier, retiring in a better situation? Probably at least one or two things that are holding you back. So take a step back and see what those are and start working on them to put yourself in a better position for retirement. At the end of the day, we talk to thousands of people every single year, and I see what people are doing right and what they're doing wrong. And these 6 things fall onto my plate all the time. Bad habits, things that have happened, things that have set me back. And again, some are in control, some are not. But take control of your retirement planning, change your habits, and get on a better course going forward.